We're reaching forwards and pulling in. The basic action of the human being. Reach forwards with the hand, but also I'm reaching forwards with my wing or my imaginary limb. From my shoulder blade, something extends forwards. It's like I have an energetic body that's bigger than my actual body. And the same thing with the leg. The leg is straightening here, but the sense that my imaginary limb from the leg is coming round as well to grab the person. And that's swelling out of the sacroiliac. Energy's coming out of my back and into my front, into my belly, especially the hands. Start off with the arms, as we're used to using them and they're easy to feel. As we repeat and repeat the exercise, it slowly comes down into the legs so that we're feeling what's happening in the legs. So this leg is bending, the same as my arm is bending. This leg is straightening, the same as my leg is straightening. Feel the shoulder blades. So as the arm goes out, it's the shoulder blade coming away from the spine that gets the extension in the arm. The shoulder blades are really mobile. They can pull away from the spine to reach. And then I want to feel the same thing in the hips. So as this shoulder blade comes away, there's a sense that this hip separates from the sacrum a little bit. It's hardly anything there, but we just want to feel like it is. All the time, we're just trying to get a little bit of relaxation into the legs as they're working, as they're holding us up, which is a tall order. But if we can, then the system is far more likely to become energetic rather than simply physical. So the shoulder releasing here enables this flow to come out from my spine, this flow of energy, which is deeper and longer than the arm. Something flows out of me here, and then I pull that back in. So my arm, my hand, it's like a small version of what's actually happening with the energy. And I want to feel that, or at least see it in my mind's eye. I can see like a tentacle coming out of my back, reaching forwards and pulling in. And then we can get the same feeling in the leg. So here there's a tentacle reaching down, or you can even think of it coming round and reaching forwards for the other person as well. It's like physically, I'm a person with this endoskeleton covered in flesh. Embedded on that, there's like an energetic octopus. There's this sort of tentacled being of energy that's bigger than I am. And I can get my tentacles just to go out just by feeling it with my mind. I can look at something and something in me will just come out and touch sensitively and delicately. So the image is the octopus because it's such a beautiful creature that's so otherworldly. You know, it doesn't have a skeleton, so it can just squeeze through really small apertures, but it's incredibly intelligent. So I have this limb, this sort of energy limb that comes out, but also I've got these 5 fingers, so these 5 energetic limbs, which this limb from my spine splits into. So it's even more complex, really. And the octopus, you think the octopus, or the suckers on its arms. And each one registers in its brain. It can feel each one separately. I mean, we have trouble feeling our fingers and toes separate. So something extends and then I reel it back in. Just imagine the mind that the octopus would need to extend out its limb and then pull it back in. And then using it just to go side to side. Now it's the legs, just the legs really. So now I'm picking away at the floor with my feet. But it's the same delicacy. And this is where we really need to make sure we come into the outside edge. Almost like I don't want to put too much weight into the foot. Obviously, my weight goes into the leg, into the foot, but I don't want it to press too hard. So there's this feeling that as my weight goes into the foot, like I'm trying to pull the foot off the ground at the same time, and that sucks the energy up from the ground. Same way with like the suckers on the octopus. You know, it touches things with its limbs, but the suckers suck the thing onto it. But we have to catch the mind that imagines, but also the mind that maintains an image, that keeps the imaginative image developing. You know, it keeps it going. Because we can see things quite clearly, quite cleverly, but then we lose it because we're so distractible. So I'm with this octopus. I am this octopus, and I'm working with it, which is keeping it alive, keeping the image going. So it's all imagination. And I say that to people, they don't believe me. So Chen Manqing, when Robert W. Smith said to Chen Manqing, why is it that none of your students are anywhere close to your level? And he just said, because they don't believe. And it's not really a belief. It's not like believing in God. It's not that sort of faith. It's not faith, it's belief. It's interesting, the word belief, because the word leaf is just an old English word that means love. So to believe means to be in a state of loving. So it's the connection that love gives you. And that's imagination for me. The lover has a great imagination, a rich imagination. So to fall in love with someone, it takes imagination. You have to let go of self to let it happen. You certainly have to let go of self to keep it going. Once you're past the first flushes of love and you start to realize, oh shit, it's hard work, then it really requires imagination to sustain it till death do you part. It's why people get divorced now, because they don't have an imagination. And now, exactly the same thing, but now with this turning. Now it's like I'm wrapping my tentacles around myself, almost like I'm hugging myself. So, ooh, it's going all the way around. Think of your arms being really long and they're wrapping around you at least 2 or 3 times. But the Greek term for the figure of 8 is the lemniscate, and that was just Greek for ribbon. So you imagine you've got a stick with a long ribbon tied to it, and you just did this with the stick. So you just moved it simply backwards and forwards. And the ribbon in the air would make a figure of 8. And that's what we're feeling all the time. All these exercises, we're just going backwards and forwards. It's A, B, A, B, A, B. This repetitive, almost piston action. In, out, in, out. But it's actually producing these flowing, swirling shapes because of the relaxation, because my body's loose and my mind is free. So the slightest suggestion, and oh, my imagination is off on one of its flights of fancy. Little jog, just to really loose and playful. Silly. Remember here, we're just feeling the rocking side to side, like a child skipping down the street, full of the joys of life. And now the 2 circles, backwards and forwards, but really feeling this loop around the foot. So I'm skirting all the time. I never confront, I never look anything face on. I'm with the energy. The energy is my peripheral vision, my back. So here I'm swinging something from my back around. So from the heel and around the toes. So whatever I look at, whatever I focus upon, I'm just doing that to catch the mind, to grip the mind and limit it so that the bigger mind that's with the peripheral vision can expand out. So I'm sort of looking at something, but that's the thing I'm least interested in. I'm interested in everything that's around it, its edge, its periphery, and my edge, my periphery. Feel the toes. Why my toes really want to expand out and splay as I come around the foot. My little toe especially is trying to escape out to the side. Same as my little finger. Transcendental field. If we use the word transcendental simply to denote spirit, the sparkle of spirit, we're just trying to wake up the space to spirit. If I become really quiet and really attentive, so I'm listening so attentively, then the spirit manifests everywhere. Everything sparkles, and I become amazed. So this is the thing, when you listen properly, then you are always amazed because it's always fresh and it's always new. Because it's always colored with spirit. And that's what spirit does. Spirit just makes things new. And without that, the future doesn't open up. So in French, they have two words for future. Future, without the E, and avenir, avenir, to come. So future, that is basically just a repetition of the past, or it's a continuation of the present. And avenir is actually the opening up of something that's unexpectedly remarkable or different. That's what we're trying to do all the time. So we're interested in avenir, in what's to come. The Messiah, messianic urge, this sense, the Messiah's coming today. We're all going to be completely different by the end of the day because something amazing is going to happen. If your spirit isn't sparkling, then you're just repeating the past. You're not really venturing into the future. And then let's just try a little bit of this one. Just a few pulling up the foot. So pulling myself into the foot, sinking around the outside edge, and just slowly dragging the other foot up to rest on the knee. And that keeps me in the outside edge. Around the foot. Part of our mind is always wanting to fall back to here, fall back to both feet on the ground. That's just like a fear, it's like an anxiety. And when you feel it, you can just override it and just say, okay, I'm not going to put my foot down. I'm just going to stay here. And then you realize it is just an anxiety. Back to riding horse. Sacrum heavy. Sacrum driving down with its arrowhead that's cleaving my body into two, splitting my hip girdle into these two separate legs. Circle here in the legs, my horse. I have the circle here, expanding my chest, but also especially my back. And I have this circle at the back. My spine is the back of a large circle that includes the person that I'm standing in front of. It's also difficult. You can see it like in the gorilla. You know, when the gorilla is undisturbed, when it's just sitting there with its fellows, munching away, then it's just really calm and peaceful. And it's sitting down and its spine is just this smooth curve. And you see it, you know, when it's in that mode and it's with human beings, you know, it's incredibly gentle and affectionate. And yet when it's alarmed, it stands up and bares its chest. So it brings real tension into its lower back and splits into a lower body and an upper body. and bears this swelling chest and this snarling face, and it will often beat the chest to accentuate this change. So that's us. We are exactly the same. And we just want to make sure that most of the time we're sort of inviting horse who are in the sitting down, munching away, chatting with our friends mode. And unfortunately, as soon as we stand up, because we're naturally lazy, especially nowadays, our legs don't like the strain. And so we straighten the legs, and that brings tension into the lower back and bares the chest. So simply standing up from sitting turns us into aggressive creatures. We use that aggression to sort of go about our day, to give us the courage to do what we do. But of course, we also use that aggression for other means. Tai Chi really is all about maintaining that peaceful attitude whilst you're standing and moving around. Okay, let's bring the feet up. And now we have the legs quite straight, but they're still trying to bend. Yeah, so by practicing with bent legs, sitting, doing meditation, squatting down, which we do a lot of now, it's all establishing this connection with the ground that we would like never to sever. So even when I stand up straight like this, it's almost like I'm stretching some elastic, and that elastic is trying to pull me down towards the ground. So it's quite a strain to actually stand like this. I don't want to snap and then say, oh, look, here I am. I'm still with the ground. I'm still with my legs. I'm still in my legs. Okay.